So this is why I don't cover trending topics on YouTube. Little backstory. About a week ago, from the time of making this video, I saw this video from the YouTube channel Alta, where the faces of the channel sat down with the Paizo creative director to talk about Pathfinder 2e Remaster dragons from the Monster Core. Luis Loza, the creative director for Pathfinder, released a bunch of information, including info that wasn't in the Monster Core book. So Monday I wrote a script about it because the book wouldn't be officially released for a week and a half. Now, some people who pre-ordered the book would get it early, but that was not me. I did not have the money to pre-order it, so I wasn't going to get a copy. So I could safely say that I hadn't seen the book and was only going off of this Alta video. Then Ronald the Rules Lawyer did a breakdown of his early copy of the Monster Core, followed by Bad Luck Gamer, who did a detailed breakdown of all the dragons in the book, and now my video is ruined because everyone has already talked about the dragons. Oh, and my friend let me see their advanced copy of the book, so I couldn't even in good conscience say that I hadn't seen the stat blocks. So now I have to try and salvage my script. Luckily, I had always approached this as a making the best use of the dragons video as opposed to just talking about the stat blocks. So, hello YouTube and welcome to SciPrime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. So, like I said, the Monster Core is officially out, sort of. As I said in the intro, as of the making of this video, there are those who have pre-ordered the Monster Core and have started getting their copies. And I got to see one of these advanced copies. Now, if you have no idea what any of this means, here's the brief rundown. A little over a year ago, as of the making of this video, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, the makers of D&D, tried to pull some legal shenanigans. This has since been dubbed the OGL scandal. If you don't know what that means, go look it up on YouTube. There are approximately a billion videos about it. I'm not going to talk about it in this video. The long and the short of it is that Paizo needed to make some changes to Pathfinder 2e in order to legally distance themselves from D&D in case Hasbro tried to pull the same legal shenanigans again. So they did the Remaster project. The idea behind the Remaster project is to make an update to Pathfinder 2e by getting rid of any D&D style terminology, as well as to take the opportunity to update some issues and fix some class options. Among the changes they made was to re-envision how dragons work in the game. Now, as of the making of this video, the book has not officially been released yet, but like I said, those that have pre-ordered a physical copy have gotten theirs. So what I am going to talk about is publicly released information. This is where the YouTube channel Alta comes in and their nearly 1.5 hour long video where they go through the 8 dragons with the actual Paizo creative director Luis Loza. So first I'm going to talk about the changes to all the dragons, including some lore info not found in the Monster Core thanks to that Alta video with Luis Loza. Then I will give a brief rundown of each dragon. First of all, the biggest change to dragons is that they no longer are color-coordinated and split into easily defined good metallic and evil chromatic dragons. This is probably due to the fact that the Remaster project has gotten rid of the alignment system. Instead, most dragons can be either benevolent or malevolent as they see fit. They are sentient creatures, after all, capable of making their own moral judgments. The Imperial and Diabolic Dragons might be the exception. We'll see how they go. Anyway, dragons are now based on concepts and are broken down into dragons based on the 4 spellcasting traditions. This means that there are arcane, divine, primal, and occult dragons. The Monster Core has 2 of each, with plenty of room for more down the line. Another major change noted by Luis Loza is that some dragons, the occult dragons, are kinda like modern depictions of fae such as the fae found in the Dresden Files. What this means is that occult dragons have a nature that they kinda have to abide by. This isn't a normal good versus evil thing, but more of a compulsion to adhere to their concept. Now, like I said, this is officially an occult dragon thing, but it can easily be expanded out to all, or at least most, other types of dragons. One last major change was not actually stated by Mr. Loza, but seemed clear to me. And it's that each of the 8 dragons seems to have taken a concept about fantasy dragons and seems to have heightened it to 11. For example, while many dragons enjoy wealth, there is one of these new dragons that's all about wealth. While some dragons may like living in secluded caves, there is one that's all about that underground life, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go over all 8 dragons as quickly as I can. I'm going to list their name, the spellcasting tradition that inspired them, their concept, their compulsion, if any, the draconic personification that they dial to 11, and any special abilities that caught my attention. Important note, I'm only going to touch on a few special abilities per dragon, and some of these abilities are only privy to the ancient versions of the dragons. I'm not going to give you their entire stat block is what I'm saying. I'm just going to talk about a few abilities that I found interesting. Lastly, I'll throw in 2 ideas, one for using the dragon as a good guy or at least quest giver in a campaign, and one idea where they can be the primary antagonist. The last one is mostly from me, by the way. It's just the immediate ideas I had when seeing that Alta video. So, first off is the Adammanting Dragon. Their inspired tradition is primal, and their concept is, well, that they're a star metal dragon. They either consume adamantine to form an adamantine shell around their bodies, or their bodies just make an adamantine-like substance. And that's directly from the mouth of the creative director himself. He said some attract adamantine to them, and some make their own. The book says that they tend to be hard-headed both physically and mentally, so they may have a compulsion to choose a direction and stick to it and never change their mind. Their draconic personification seems to be the idea that dragons like dwelling in caves. As for their special abilities, there were 2 major ones I'd like to mention. The first is that they have a burrow pounce, and the second is that they have a shell. If their adamantine shell breaks, they shed it, which lowers their defenses but makes them faster, as well they're not lugging around a giant heavy shell anymore. For use in a campaign, they are one of the harder ones. We don't get a lot of their personality in the Alta video or the stat block. I think that perhaps as a quest giver they might hire the party to get them some adamantine that they wouldn't normally have access to, like maybe it's on a floating city or something. Or perhaps a mother is protecting her young and can't be bothered to leave her home, which is being inundated by an invading species like kobolds or goblins or whatever. They can't leave their eggs unprotected, so they need the party to deal with the problem for them. As an antagonist, they're a bit easier. Maybe a new Adammanting Dragon has decided that a dwarven stronghold would make a good mountain lair. They burrow in, bypassing all of the dwarves' defenses, and kick the dwarves out. Now it's up to the party to get powerful enough weapons to slay the beast and return the dwarves to their homelands. The second dragon is the Conspirator Dragon. Their inspired tradition is occult, and the concept is the sneaky, scheming, behind-the-scenes dragon. Their compulsion is to sneak, scheme, and have plans within plans. If you can't tell, their draconic personification is what TV Tropes calls the Xanatos Gambit. They love infiltrating society, setting up wheels within wheels and complicated plots, then watching everything fall into place. By the way, these don't have to be evil schemes. Louise said that it's conceivable that a Conspirator Dragon could be a good guy. It's just, instead of simply donating their wealth to make sure the local orphanage has toys for Christmas, they'd have to do something more complicated, like making sure that the leader of the orphanage just happens to buy the right lottery ticket or something like that. As you can probably tell, one of their special abilities is to take on a humanoid form. What's less obvious is that they can then explode out of that humanoid form as an AoE attack. Pretty cool. I think the Conspirator Dragon possibly has some of the greatest potential as a quest giver or antagonist. As a quest giver, they could lead the party to do some jobs for them as just one cog in their grand scheme, whether for good or ill. Probably without the party even knowing they're a dragon, maybe until the very end. As an antagonist, they could fill out any number of roles, such as maybe an evil vizier behind the throne trying to destroy the party, or maybe a mad tyrant of a country that nobody knows is a dragon. The third dragon is the Diabolic Dragon, which is based on devils, the fiends that are bound by laws and contracts. If you can't tell, they are a religious dragon specifically focused around hell. Their concept is Evil Lawyer the Dragon. They are a deal-making, loophole-exploiting dragon who's never going to lie to you, but will twist a contract into knots such that they still get whatever they want. From context clues, it's pretty obvious that their compulsion is probably something to do with making deals and then exploiting them so hard that they get the most out of something while giving up as little as possible. They, of course, personify the chatty but terrifyingly calm and deadly side of dragons, kind of like Smaug from The Hobbit. They have two special abilities I'd like to mention. One is that their dragon's Hellfire breath weapon does either fire or spirit damage, whichever is worse for the person being breathed on. The other is that they can summon a contract devil to their side. Presumably this is so the devil can make up any binding contracts that the devil would like to make, though they can aid in combat too. It's pretty obvious how this guy could be either a quest giver or an antagonist. As a quest giver, they could be a lot like Raphael from Baldur's Gate 3, looking to have the party work as agents against a rival. Maybe the Diabolic Dragon wants to upend another fiend, so they help the party to fight them. The party gets to defeat a powerful fiend, and the Diabolic Dragon gets to usurp their rival while technically keeping their hands, well, claws clean. As an antagonist, they make even more sense, as a vile contract holder who tricks or forces someone into a terrible contract and the party has to kill them to get their friend out of this mess. The fourth dragon is the Imperial Dragon, and they are the polar opposite to the Diabolic Dragon. They are a divine dragon tied to heaven or a heaven-like place instead of hell. Their concept seems to be champion class the dragon. It's a dragon all about defending things and championing the cause of those that cannot defend themselves. Again, since they aren't an occult dragon, they don't have an official compulsion, but it's easy to imagine that this is a dragon all about defending the weak and those that need defending. As for the draconic personification, they seem to be the embodiment of defense and jealously guarding what they think needs guarding. Imagine how a typical D&D style dragon guards their horde. Imperial dragons do the same, only just guarding people and things instead of their stuff. They have several special abilities, including a resistance to all damage when crit, the ability to send out their halo to aid others, an aura of encouragement, and some healing abilities. As a quest giver, an Imperial Dragon could hire out a party to go defend some lands that the dragon could not themselves defend. Maybe a massive evil army is attacking the land, and the dragon has to defend the capital city and hires the party to defend the surrounding farmlands or something. As an antagonist, they could be what TV Tropes calls the Knight Templar, an extremist protector who believes that the party is a threat to the thing they want to protect, and the only way to make sure their ward is safe is to take care of the party permanently. The fifth is the Fortune Dragon, and to be clear, it means fortune as in has great wealth, not is lucky. They are the first arcane dragon on the list, and their concept is that they hoard not only wealth, but magic power. No official compulsion, but in my mind, if you want to include one, it would be to hoard things, including gold and jewels, but mostly to hoard magic items. This is also, unsurprisingly, their draconic personification. These guys personify the trope of a dragon having a hoard. While other dragons may have hoards, the Fortune Dragon's whole shtick is their hoard. This extends into their special abilities. They can really screw over spellcasters by sucking up magic from failed spells, and then they can steal that energy or spell slot that was lost to recharge their own spell slots. The other ability they have is that they can dive into their hoard, Scrooge McDuck style, then dog shake off all their treasure as an attack that blasts everyone around them with high-speed treasure. Then they can't use that ability again until they Scrooge McDuck back into their treasure pile and get more treasure stuck to them. The quest giver and antagonist roles for this one almost write themselves. They either hire a party to get some magic trinket they want but is useless to the party, like maybe a dragon-sized greatsword or something, make sure it's a magical MacGuffin, or as an antagonist they may steal a magic MacGuffin that the party has to kill them for in order to make sure the kingdom isn't doomed or whatever. The sixth dragon is the Horned Dragon, the second of the primal dragons in the Monster Corps. Again, no official compulsion, but there is one throwaway line about how they like lost lore and scrolls. Not sure if that's a compulsion or a hobby. Their draconic embodiment seems to be the personification of beastliness, or like... Listen, the Horn Dragon is just a big, strong dude who wants to impale you on its horn. That seems to be the personification they're going for. The biggest ability to talk about with the Horn Dragon is their ability to run full tilt through a forest without disturbing anything, so they are really hard to track. Also, like I said, they can impale people with that big giant horn of theirs. As a quest giver, I think I'd like to focus on the lore and scrolls aspect that I mentioned. I think it would be a good setup for an adventure. Either the dragon hires the PCs to go out and get some lost lore, or the dragon has some lost lore and the party needs to negotiate to get it. As an antagonist, you could also lean on that lost lore scroll thing by having the dragon steal some important information that the party needs. Or maybe they're just a big dragon running through the forest, terrorizing and killing people. That Alta video did mention you can treat a horned dragon as a force of nature. The 7th dragon is the Mirage Dragon, and that is the 2nd arcane dragon. The concept of the Mirage Dragon is illusions. That's it, just illusions. Again, no official compulsion, but pretty obvious that they have a need or desire to obfuscate and present illusions. While the Conspirator Dragon has to manipulate and infiltrate, the Illusion Dragon has to obfuscate and disguise. They occupy similar but not the same niche, is what I'm saying. I think they are the draconic personification of regality or royalty. For all you GMs out there that like to play up your dragons as arrogant to the lower races, or dragons who demand the PCs treat them as kings or gods, this is the dragon for you. A lot of their abilities, unsurprisingly, focus on illusions. Not only to hide themselves, but to heighten themselves. With their wondrous mastery of illusion magics, they can make themselves look as regal as they want to be, and can really impress, well, whomever they want. Who doesn't want to be adored? They can also hide and act as an ambush predator. As a quest giver, I feel like this is the dragon who is most likely to be a pain, but not impossible to deal with. You could have a particularly challenging social encounter to convince them to do something for the party. Or they could try to start their own country, and maybe the PCs need to help them do that. As an antagonist, I feel like their greed or arrogance could get the best of them, leading them to take over someplace and the PCs need to kick them out. The 8th and final dragon is the Omen Dragon, and it's the last of the occult dragons. The concept is, well, omens and fortune-telling. The dragon can see glimpses of the future and must tell people what it sees. That's its compulsion. It seems to be the draconic personification of the mysterious and all-knowing dragon, the dragon that the PCs must seek out for its knowledge of all things past, present, and future. There are a few abilities that the Omen Dragons have worth mentioning, such as the ability to separate themselves into 2 timelines and then merge back together. This is the ability to separate into 2, go attack 2 different people who are some distance apart, and then re-merge back into 1. The other ability we hear about is the dragon can make your future death happen more immediately, which can give you the doomed condition. This is probably the easiest quest giver dragon. After all, young Valeros, still working on his parents' farm, could receive a visit from an Omen Dragon who basically says, "Hey kid, you need to go do the thing." Boom. Start of adventure. As an antagonist, they are a bit trickier, but not impossible. Maybe an Omen Dragon foresees some terrible thing. They know that thing is going to happen, so they set out to mitigate the damage as much as possible. But what they think is kindness is actually cruelty. I don't know. Maybe they foresee a town in ruins because of a famine? So instead of people dying a terrible wasting death from starvation, they decide to destroy the town themselves. These people will die either way, and a quick death is preferable to a slower one, right? I don't know. There's something there. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. When this video gets uploaded, the Monster Core should come out shortly, so go pick it up if you're interested. If you like this and you want to see my channel grow, please like, comment, and subscribe. This lets both me and YouTube know that you like this kind of content. As always, I want to thank everyone who has helped my channel grow. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!